Let's go. All right. Good morning, guys. This is the Get Busy Living podcast with the wonderful Liz Walton. And like I said, if you're tuning in today, you get access to my bronze membership at there it is right there, www.sixsenseacupuncture.com.au/health club / So that's worth $11 for 1 month. You get that for 1 month. And you get it too, Liz. That's fantastic.
Ooh.
So thank you so much, Liz, for joining us this morning, and we appreciate your time, and I can't wait to hear the gold nuggets that you're going to provide in information, because you've done a lot over the last 12 months, yeah?
There's been a lot that's happened, yes.
Yes. So much appreciated. Much appreciated for your time today. So I know how busy you are.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you for having me on your, everything that you do. I just love it with all of your health and wellness. So thank you too.
So yeah, well, we'll start with the usual question. So tell us, Liz, what gets you out of bed every morning?
I think at the moment, what gets me out of bed is this desire to create the best event I possibly can. So last year I created the first Australian Fertility Summit in Canberra, which went really well. And then there was some clinics in Melbourne that was like what you're doing, come to Melbourne. So I was a bit like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And no longer had I put out, how would I do that? Then I ended up being introduced to this amazing lady called Helen Z. And we've now partnered up. She lives in Melbourne and a big fertility advocate and practitioner. So we're creating that's happening in November. And so that's my impetus that gets me up. Who do we need to speak to? Who needs to be there? What do people want to know? And how can we create the best summit possible? Because it's not just about fertility. Fertility is never fertility. It starts from, understanding our health, understanding how we can be the healthiest individual, and fertility is just part of it. And it takes us all the way up to birth. So we want to be able to span all of that and bring in medical, bring in complementary, because, like yourself, like I sort of said before, I'd love to see if you would like to join too, because there's so much support and help out there, and there's so many people that are so knowledgeable in this area. So we want to create that space where it's a one-stop shop. So at the moment, that is what gets me out of bed.
That's excellent, because we appreciate that you're trying to help the community, especially the ladies in the world, and because you poor ladies, you do get a raw deal when it comes to medical advice. And I know that firsthand, because I've had partners in the past that have not been given answers to their health, and I appreciate that you're trying to help as many women as possible with their health, and like you said, with fertility as well, because that health leads into fertility. So we appreciate that you're doing that. So thank you so much.
Oh, at the moment it's a calling, so thank you.
And that comes to my next question. How did you get into fertility and fertility coaching and also women's health?
Yeah, well, I suppose really I got into it because of my own path and my own journey. So I ended up, it took me a while to find a man of substance. So I was already in my early to mid 30s. And so by the time we got married, I was, in my mid 30s, and my assumption was, I'll have babies one day, it'll all happen. And so I was already starting late, and it's interesting to think I was already in what is termed as geriatric, which is, I find, quite an interesting term. But and for me, it did not work. It didn't happen as my perception in how we're sort of told it would happen. So then I went into a really long journey, which ended up, long story short, it's 10 years. I did 6 IVFs. None of them were they were all unsuccessful, should I say. But it created a big journey, not just with the medical part, but also I think for me, the biggest journey was the emotional part and turning inwards and what was that. And I feel like I went through like the dark night of the soul and came out the other end. And it was probably one of the biggest gifts of of me learning in my life. You know, I always feel like the fertility journey wasn't actually about the baby. It was actually about coming home. And the more that I found who I was, happier in individual, healed my past, and, you know, just found the new tools and techniques to become the better version of me, then it's like my baby could find me. And bizarrely enough, for me, my journey was I had to give up, and then 3 years later fell pregnant naturally, and I assumed it was menopause. And I remember going to the doctor going, I need help, I just don't know, I'm so sick and I don't understand. And her giggling in the end saying, you know, yeah, it's not menopause, you're pregnant. So my own personal journey ended up, you know, how can I support others? You know, I felt like my 10 years gave me a really interesting blueprint of like so many things that went wrong and how to overcome them. And so this is now my passion. How can I help others so that they don't need to take 10 years at all, and really understand the deep emotional journey? Because if our mind and body can be more in alignment, or can be in alignment, it will really support if their journey has to be, you know, on the medical side or IVF, or maybe not. But that's been my learning personally, and also with a lot of my clients now, because it's been quite a, you know, I've got now 10 years under my belt. Even though I've been in the health and wellness for now 30 years, it wasn't until I had my baby that I really focused more on the fertility area. So so this is what brought me to that space, and also a really good girlfriend going, Liz, I think this would be a good area for you to niche in. And I'm like, do you think? She goes, yes. So and then it's just become more and more and more of a passion. So it was interesting. I was telling my daughter the other day, or it was maybe a couple of weeks ago, just about earning money and fertility. And she goes, well, I bring money to you. And I was like, oh, how did you do that? She goes, because I was born from you. And so that's why you have your job. And I was like, I like that, Willow. So I'm like, you're my little, you are my little money magnet. Absolutely. So I thought that was interesting.
That is very interesting. Yeah, that's that's very true as well. So as innocent as it is, as innocent as it is, yeah, she's on the money. So she's on the button. So you've since we spoke, because you're getting ready for a conference that you're going to do. Was that in Sydney?
So no, my second one is going to be in Melbourne. And my reason.
Oh no, your first one.
My first one was in Canberra.
Canberra. Sorry.
In Canberra. So I live in Canberra, and I was like, where do I start? Where do I start? Well, I live here. I'm going to try it here. So and that was, that was the beginning, really, the beginning of the calling, the beginning of the movement. And there's nothing out there that creates such, a big support. I'm like, why isn't there? Why isn't there a space that, where people can go and get support that really covers every base, not just medical, not just complementary, but how can I create something where it's got everything? So, since I lived in Canberra, we started in Canberra.
So tell us about that. Did you get a lot of different interest and different modalities, different professions as well?
Yeah, so to start off with, I think I did well. It was full on and lots of learning. So hopefully I feel like I did well. So I had 20 different practitioners leading from both medical to complementary. We had some of the main IVF clinics, because it was all what was here in Canberra. So we had Janea, we had IVF Australia, and then I had also a wonderful embryologist. And then we had nutrition, we had pelvic floor, we had physios, we had doulas, we had energy healing, we had massage therapists, we had, a little bit of everything. And it was beautiful. beautiful. It was really, really beautiful. So I didn't get the numbers that I hoped for, but I did get, a good amount of people, which was great, And I think one of my biggest learnings in Canberra is, so Canberra obviously has a lot of the government. It's a very big area where, lots of people are working within the government space in all different areas. And my learning was people, because with all of the clinics, different clinics that I had, excuse me, the problem was everyone loved it. They thought it was a great idea, but they were really worried to turn up because it has a massive impact on their job. And that was a massive, massive learning for me, and something that I did not realize. And so this is where I really want to, for our next one that's in Melbourne, it's about really confronting that and understanding, how can we support people to know it's okay to show up. And so I am having lots of meetings with a few of the politicians as well about, we need to support women that are on, which do really well, say within the government space or, working in offices, that they're not going to lose, their job because they're working really hard to pay for all the different types of women's health that need to happen. So that was a massive learning, and one that I know that we're going to do our best to really confront and talk about and bring that open, so that, and this is, I suppose this is the sadness in me, is what's sadness in me, but the sadness of the subject of, people are it's steeped in a taboo. And, how can we open up that conversation? How can we make it different? How can we say, look, we really want to create a space of support, of hearing, knowing you're not alone. And, by coming together, we can, make this so that it isn't a taboo subject. It is something that we, it's not bad. It's something that we can support you with, and it's okay to come out and be seen.
Yeah, it's the same for guys as well. It's not just for the ladies. And look,
that's
I'm going
to
bring up a statistic that's it's pretty bad. In 2000, in the year 2000, 1 in 20 Australian couples were considered infertile, and then in 2024, which was only just last year, it was 1 in 6.
Yeah, it's now 1 in 6.
Yeah, 1 in 6 Australian couples are infertile. So there's something wrong. I don't think we can blame ourselves if it's a systemic issue. If it's a systemic issue, then that means that whoever's in charge, whoever's controlling the environment for us and what happens to us, they're the ones that are, because nature only screws with us when it needs to. It's not doing it. I don't believe this is nature. This is not a natural problem. This is a man-made issue.
There's all sorts. Yeah. I mean, as you're aware, you probably know more than me. You know more about, the body than I do. But yes, I mean, I don't like to say people are infertile. I don't think people are infertile. There's just lots, it's lots we don't understand. Yes, there are some individuals that, through learning, there is infertility, but generally it's a lot of tweaks and changes and understanding of nutrition, understanding of health, understanding, yourself with being, in acupuncture, by getting the body back into alignment. It's amazing what can happen. And so by having, I think a lot of it is understanding, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. I mean, one of the amazing ladies that came down, because we had big miracles, some of the big miracles couples come, and they were on the panel. Beautiful, beautiful people. And one of the ladies, Elena, she has, through a lot of endometriosis, has lost both of her fallopian tubes. And so she actually has to have IVF. But again, learning, like she says, she's learned so much more about her health and well-being than she ever would have. So she can still have a baby. She's not infertile, but there are definitely some blocks, that she didn't have before. And obviously a lot of her journey, I actually acknowledge that she's gone on TV and shared that journey. It's huge. I really, I have admiration for her, and she's such a beautiful soul. The fertility statistics, I feel, are scary. Yes, I do think our health in general, the people that are out there, like you say, might not always be looking after our health, but this is the opportunity where we can empower ourselves by having more knowledge and more understanding about our health inside and out, detoxification inside and out, our mindset inside and out, healing the past, healing what may be fearful, those are the parts that I work with a lot, is just how, like the viruses in here can be, which affect our body, can be so powerful, and by healing that. So I do feel that by, creating a space where people can have more knowledge, understanding, and this can be the stuff that can change their lives. I really do. And then create, what they may their deepest desire, which is then to, have a little one.
Yes. And that was my point, is basically we need to take control. We need to take control of our own health. It's unfortunate, but this is the way it is, because the numbers are getting worse. If the numbers were getting better, I'd say, okay, let's have faith in what's going on in our medical system. But the problem is the numbers are getting worse. So that's what I'm saying, is that, I totally agree with you, Liz. We need to be better informed ourselves. And the only way to do that is to go out and research it yourself. Find out more about how you can make your health better. And you're right. You're right. It's a taboo subject. Fertility is a taboo subject. But it's affecting so many people now, which is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense.
I know, it is bizarre. It is bizarre. And there's so many endocrine disruptors in lots of different ways, and, I suppose with everything from a pendulum, whenever it swings one way, it has to swing the other before it comes down into balance. And I feel that's what's happening. We're almost swinging into another area. But, I always believe in the power of the people and the power to, take it back into our own hands, which is, part of my journey. I handed over my body in my head. If it's the way of thinking, it is a way I describe it, is I just assumed I would hand over my body and someone else would fix it. And then that didn't happen. And then I realized is actually I'm attached to my body. I need to actually bring in some, I need to, take some responsibility. And I think that's it. It's like, let's bring back the responsibility and then instead of expecting everybody else. And yes, we do need to work with the doctors. Yes, depending on what's going on, but by us bringing back the responsibility for all the different areas that we can be in control of our health, inside, outside, then I feel that can be a really good, system of change for ourselves and for our babies and for the next and for the future generations, Yes. It's, it can be powerful. And this is so what I want to do. It's about, let's bring, some amazing, doctors coming in. Let's bring some amazing practitioners coming in. Let's have speakers. Let's have knowledge. Let's have understanding. And let's create community so that you are not alone. You are heard. You are seen, but seen with love and tenderness. And that if nothing changes, it's only going to get worse. So it's like my call out is for people to, please come and, and learn and be empowered.
Yes. Another one is, another statistic is that the leading cause of infertility is, you mentioned it earlier, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And what's your take on that, Liz? How can people help themselves?
Well, again, so polycystic ovaries as well as endometriosis are two big areas that can really come in the way of our fertility, absolutely. And I think both of those, it's looking at what's going on emotionally, because again, I work in the emotional area, but also I would say really taking control of your health in all sorts of different ways. So whenever someone comes in, I will refer acupuncturist, I will refer nutritionist, and I will also look at what's been going on emotionally. It's never just any one thing in my model of the world. It always is a combination, because so much has happened to the individual to take them where they are to this day. So let's try and unravel that. And it is about becoming aware, what's been going on emotionally, as well as, And, I've had a few women with some terrible endometriosis. And, again, we've looked at a lot of what was going on in their family and even past. And by healing some of that, I know this sounds bizarre, it's definitely had a massive support, along with, working with the doctors, acupuncturists, health professionals. It's never just a one-stop shop. It is a combination. I always tell my clients, have your crew. You've got to have your crew, because together it's about supporting your body on all aspects, and helping the mind and the body to come to, the best health it can be.
Yeah, because I've treated a lot of ladies with PCOS, and the feedback I get is basically there's only two answers they get from the doctor, and that's with PCOS I'm talking about, is that, and fibroids is another one, and endometriosis as well. That they seem to go together, and that's basically we'll try some medication, and it's usually pill, usually estrogen and progesterone, and then if that doesn't work, then we're going to have to surgically remove it. So the problem with that is that has side effects as well. So the medication has side effects, and also the surgery can have side effects. And then on top of that, there's no guarantee that it won't come back. So it's like playing roulette.
Yes.
The numbers come up. Well, we did well for now, but if we roll the dice again, it might spin the wheel. I mean, it might come up with different numbers next time. So, yeah, it doesn't solve the cause. That's what I'm hearing a lot.
Yes.
Is that what you're hearing the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, look, we can all, and I always want to honor what everyone's decision is, each client's decision. So we have to honor where they are and their path they're working on. But yes, trying to find, the root issue can be, very challenging, very, very challenging. And I think there's so much that's rooted in what's going on emotionally for them, usually between those ages between 1 and 7 and before. I think that can have a massive impact. And I know I've worked with clients with that. And I think this is, maybe this is the challenge. This is the path that's unfolding, and we can only all support our client to do the best they can do with what's going on for them. But and this is why it's good to have your crew. We can all work on those different areas of the body.
Yeah, and that's right. This is the thing I'm trying to say, is that just because your doctor has limited answers for you doesn't mean that there aren't other answers out there for you.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we and a lot, don't get me wrong, the GPs and the specialists, the gynecologists and fertility specialists, they're very intelligent people, but the problem is They only go by what they're taught. They don't look outside of what they're taught. Well, don't get me wrong. Some do. There are some surgeons and practitioners, GPs out there that do search outside because they get frustrated with the mainstream. And I understand why. And I've talked to these people, and they say the same thing. You can't always. There is a blanket approach from conventional medicine, and the problem is it doesn't catch everyone, that blanket. So the problem is the blanket's getting smaller because it's missing a lot of people. There's a lot of people that it doesn't help with, and if it does, it helps only to a limited ability.
And that's why there is so many people out there that can support them in lots of different modalities. And the reason for, the Fertility Expo is about, do you realize who else is out there? Because so many people don't. And even for the last year when I did that, I had people coming up because I was asking, what did you think of today? And they're like, I just didn't realize I could go and have a womb massage. If I'd known that would have been great. And I didn't realize about, my pelvic health, because we had a lady who was amazing, Dr. Ray, and she's here in Canberra, and she specializes pelvic health and also with endometriosis. And she was just awesome. And just also the lady that spoke about nutrition, that people are like, I don't know, I didn't realize, I didn't know all these people. I'm like, and this is why we're doing it, is to create, oh, now I know, now I understand. This gives me more information so I know what to do for my body, because everybody's body is different.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's bring it all under one space to create more understanding, knowledge, support. And there is so much support out there, but you just don't know, because you don't know, where do I start? Who do I look for? Because who can help me with this thing? And that was me. I just felt like I fell over all the time. I don't know who can else can help me, because the IVF doctors could only help me in such an extent physically, but I also needed more help mentally in being able to, what else can I do? What else can I do to empower me, to support me, to get me to understand? So this is what I want to do, is just solve those problems and just say, look, you've got all these people to go and, talk to and ask those questions and find out what might be the best route for you.
Yeah, exactly right. And so that's great that you got some fertility specialists in conventional medicine to come and speak. Do they speak at the conference?
They will be, yes. I mean, we had them speaking last year. So last year we had amazing Dr. Shumi Saha speaking on endometriosis. And we also had, Dr. Katie, she was speaking on, she was a genetic counselor. So she had an amazing subject, which was great, on, what is genetic testing, to do it or to not do it. What else did we speak on? IVF and aging, egg freezing. And I want to make sure that this year at the Melbourne Expo, we've got a really good male space and a lot of male fertility issues or infertility issues and male health, because that was lacking last year. And a lot of people were like, well, what about the guys? And I'm like, yes, that's a big area. So we're going to make sure we have more support for males this year.
Well, if you think it's taboo in the ladies' world when it comes to infertility, I'm telling you right now, it's a huge taboo in the male circles. They just do not want to talk about it, and it's very rare that they do. They never ever actually speak about it themselves. So, yes, look, I hope that there are some men that come forward and try and help you out with that, and because it's very important as well for men. Because
it is.
They
really
don't want
is.
to talk about it.
Yeah, it really is. Sorry, we both took it. I do apologize.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
So we found some. Oh God, there's a couple of great guys doing great stuff. in Instagram just about raising awareness of men's health. So we're talking to a few people, and I suppose they're kind of like influencers, but they're also dads that have had this journey too, and they speak to a lot of medical practitioners about it. And so we're at the moment speaking to so many people that are just awesome, just saying, please, we'd love you to be part of this. So we're speaking to it. So, and again, it's about raising awareness, and guys, you're not alone, and bringing this to the conversation, bringing it to the table, and just saying, how can we make a difference? How can we support you?
Yeah, and very much so. Because I know that in the 2000s and 2010s, the sperm count for men was around 60 million per micromilligram of to the semen to their sperm, I should say. And I know now they've dropped the standard. They're now saying 5 million per micromilligram of semen to sperm. So that that in itself tells me that they know that there's a crisis. We just need to drop the numbers so people can fit the criteria. That's not good.
Yeah, no, and I think with that, having your mobile phones in our back pocket, well, for men, I know, mobile phones in back pockets, that can be massive. It's interesting, isn't it? That can be a massive disruptor. Reheating in plastics as well. And diet. I mean, what's so amazing about men is sperm, by understanding, having new awareness and understanding, sperm can change within 3 to 4 months, can't it? I mean, it's just quite phenomenal. The woman's organs, all being inside, can be a bit more difficult. But again, I feel that a lot of that is understanding. But male fertility is definitely dropping to quite an extent again, but it's understanding, let's change that, and that's by guys going, well, what else can I do? And yes, so another big interesting fact was us with so for Australia to keep up its fertility rate, it needs to be at 2, and it's now I think 1.3 or 1.2. So, that's another area we want to go. Yes, Australia is saying we need to bring in, have more immigration. Yes, that is one area, but also there's another area of all this, if we think of 1 in 6 in Australia just alone wanting babies, what can we do to support all of these, all of this space to have, their children, what needs to happen there. So, and that's why I'm talking to politicians. What can we do in this space?
And I greatly love that you're doing that, Liz, because I've spoken to these people before. They have no idea. So that's great that you're bringing that awareness to them, because some of them, they just don't know. They don't. A lot of polys, there's some do, some don't. Get me wrong, just like doctors, they're no different. They're some of them really are passionate about changing the way that things are happening, because it's not good, it's not getting better. So there are some politicians out there that are willing to listen and try and action. I'll say try.
And all we can do is just keep, ringing the bell or poking them, be the squeaky wheel, so to speak, because there is, at the end of the day, there's so many millions of issues that, need to be heard, and fertility is one of them. There's just so many. If there's a lot of things. So how can we be the squeaky wheel for fertility and really supporting it in this area? So and so that's my passion, my calling at the moment.
And that's great that you live in Canberra, so proximity is a helping hand. So how did you do that? Did you did you phone a friend and they phoned the minister, or how did that work?
Well, so again, last year, my intention was, how can I create something that's going to help people on a fertility journey? And with that, then I had some amazing people supporting me going, oh, you need to speak to politicians. So she introduced me to a few politicians. And I had at the time, she's now retired, Nicole Lauder, who is the Shadow Minister for Health. She came and opened up the summit, and then I had quite a few different politicians attend, and they attended because they had their own fertility journeys. And so it was a whole new area that I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I would actually then be talking to different people within the political environment. And so that opened a window, or a door, should I say, there. So now I have a few people who I've met, which has been a real blessing. And so from there, I can start to meet more people. So that has, and also a realization that's what we want to do is, invite some of the local politicians that are in Melbourne and around the area of Box Hill to become part of it, and, be part of it, I should say, and seeing if they can speak, because it is a big topic, fertility. So for me, it's now the doors have opened, it's reaching out and talking a bit more, and they're super busy with a million things. So I just keep being that little squeaky wheel. How can we speak? What do we need to do? And this is what I've noticed, because one area I really want to work on is reproductive health leave. Which is something that's quite big in Queensland. So I want to bring it so that it can be big everywhere else. So supporting women to be able to take their, for different issues. It might not always be fertility. It can be endometriosis. It can be all of the different areas. But it means that they don't lose their jobs. Their jobs aren't going to be... it means that they can use that reproductive health leave
So tell us about that.
Well, they brought it out in Queensland, and I know it's more used in Queensland because I've been telling it to a few clients here. But really, it's something that they can use to go off to whatever medical appointment, or maybe work from home if they're not feeling well. Because women can have different issues with their monthly cycle as well, and can be just as productive at home. And they can use the reproductive health leave as a way of supporting them to get to what they need, and have their needs met within their working environment, and it won't affect their job, which I think is awesome. So so check that out. But that's my little thing I'm working on at the moment.
Reproductive health leave.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it. There you go. And I'm in Queensland. Reproductive health leave. So okay. So that's excellent.
Check into it. Yeah.
It's more centered around. Is it centered around women's health, or is it centered around fertility?
No, women's health, which includes fertility, obviously. Yes.
Yeah.
So women's health. So if you look at some of there has been a few. It has been on the news a few times, and I know one lady was basically saying, what was great is she could use that because she'd had endometriosis, and she used that. Another lady was saying she was able to use that, and then she didn't have to say that she was, going to a few IVF clinics and whatnot, and was able to use that in a way where it umbrellas over everything that can be from female issues, and it can keep what they want to private. And I thought that was awesome. So this needs to really grow and support women.
Yeah, exactly right. So so you're saying it's only in Queensland legislation?
I know Queensland, from what I've learned and what I've researched, Queensland are being more advocating that, and it's growing because I want it to make sure it's come down here more into Canberra. But it's something that's here because a lot of people in Canberra don't know about it. So I'm like, okay, well, if I happen to be in Canberra and this is where, my husband needs to be for work, then what can I do that's, of benefit? And so I can go and talk to politicians and, be that squeaky wheel.
Yeah, well, exactly right. It's unfortunate it has to start in one state and then spread to other states, I should say. It should, an issue like this, which is it's getting worse, and it should be in the federal acknowledgement anyway.
Well, we'll work on it. That's what we can do. Let's work on it, and let's make it. It becomes more. There is more support, within the government sector, and that it's seen. This issue needs help.
Yes, it does. Yeah, definitely. Well, the numbers prove it, and yeah. So tell us about how you're advocating for women yourself personally in your own coaching as well.
Am I advocating for women?
Besides the obvious, which is the summits, which is that's crazy. That's so good that you're doing.
Well, thank you. Well, to me, like I say, it's a calling. What can I do? And how can now I realize that there's also a taboo. How can I open that door? So that does at the moment that's probably my biggest advocate. What I'm doing, coaching wise, a lot of what I do is about helping women to come home to themselves, whether it's with fertility or not fertility, because I don't just see. Although I say I'm the fertility coach, it's a way of making me different, because there's a lot of coaches out there doing amazing, phenomenal work in different ways. My experience is all about when we become the best version of ourselves, that's the gift we can give. So that's a lot of my work, whether it is within fertility or it has absolutely nothing to do with it. And that's sort of where I work. But to be fair, the Fertility Expo is taking quite a lot of my time.
I'm sure it is. Because you got to follow up with practitioners. You got to try and advertise as well.
And look, they're on the top of my list, but I'm not on the top of their list because they've got a million other things. So it's like how can we meet in the middle and share what we're doing, and it is, again, it's something new. So we don't have the track record of a lot of the other events which have nothing to do with fertility, but we need to make that, and so it is selling the vision, it's selling the passion, and it's also selling the reality of we need to do something about this.
Yeah, the only time because that's what I was saying last year, I'd never heard of only in my industry, but that's between practitioners. It had nothing to do with the
people on the journey.
Itself. Yeah, the public itself. It was only in between practitioners, because there's a lot of practitioners in my industry that specialize in fertility.
Yeah.
So they have conferences, yes, but they're only talking about what they know. They're not including the public. The only time I ever heard anything about women's health was a women's expo. It was called the Women's Expo, and it was introduced in Perth, the organisers, and they had one, and they were trying it out here in Brisbane, and it was a big success. But that was in 2019. Of course, next year we had the rock and roll. So that all got squashed. And now you're the first one that I've come across that actually is talking about specifically infertility, and it's for the public. It's for everyone to get together and inform the public better.
Yeah, well, it's going to be for both. I mean, there's going to be big opportunities to network as well, that for all of the practitioners, like B2B, so business to business. We're going to create that, because that was another learning, is actually I had quite a lot of psychologists and counselors and other therapists all coming because apart from if you're traditional Chinese medicine or if you're a doctor, there's support to learn about fertility. But if you're more of another practitioner, there really isn't. So that was a whole other area as well of actually, there's a lot of people that want to know a lot, how can I learn more from the doctors and hearing them speak. So that was another good learning. So we've got a great, we'll be doing a good networking session the Thursday before, and plus a breakfast. So we've got opportunity for everybody to learn and to grow. And then, let's see how it carries on for the year after. But, this is something that needs to be heard and learned and dealt with. I really feel that there needs to be support.
Yeah, definitely, because of what we spoke about before. That it's a taboo subject, number one, and number two is you've got limited answers from the mainstream medicine. So, yeah, it has to, yeah. And like you said, the polys are being affected. Now, when that happens, things seems to change very quickly. Funny,
yeah,
right?
I had some beautiful women that were, also on the politician path, in different areas. And coming up and just saying, love what you're doing. I had my kids through IVF, and that was also a really tough journey. And so, I'm just learning every day. People are, and they're like, what can I do to help? You just let me know. And so I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. But because they've had that lived experience, they're open to also supporting. So it's, it's touched so many. So let's bring us all together and help to, let go of that taboo subject until, we need to all come together and this is something that's not going to go away. So how can we help you all? And please be, courageous enough to show up.
Excellent. And so, yeah, just tell us, is there anyone that you've helped in the past with their fertility journey or women's health? Doesn't have to be.
No, there's a couple. So there was a beautiful lady. She was up, I think, your neck of the woods, more Brisbane area. And gorgeous lady. And so she's gone through cancer and also then trying to get pregnant. So she's also working medically, but we worked again a lot on the emotional, what was going on emotionally. And we had some great sessions, which just changed so much to create more clarity. And that was happening all before Christmas. And I checked in with her after Christmas, just checking in, how are you and whatnot. And she goes, funny, you should check in. I'm actually now pregnant. So I was like, yes, and I had another lady, high anxiety, second relationship. So her partner had already had kids from a previous relationship. So they had got together and wanted children, but a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. There had been stuff that happened for her in the past. And so we did a lot of work on that, working on anxiety and fear, working on, what was in the way. And and then again to, checking in on her on the new year. And she sent me a little picture and was definitely quite heavily pregnant now. So that was also awesome. But two very different stories. And, both of them still were working with their medical practitioners, but then also knew that there was something else, else that they needed to work with. So, so by working on what was going on emotionally for them now, as well as in the past, and the stress, that just brought, as I say, everything can come then into balance.
All right, cool. So we're running out of time. I gotta go at 11. So tell us, who's your ideal client? I suspect you've already told us, sort of things. So.
Yeah, someone's ready, willing, and able to look within. Usually, most people that I find, they've been on the path for quite some time, and they've exhausted a lot of their areas, and are just like, okay, I need to, where else can I look? And so that's when people usually tend to go, I'll have I have a try with Liz. So yeah, it's, being open to looking inside, and it will be, sometimes it's not all about the baby. It's about looking at the self. So yeah, and just know, look, and even if you just want to chat, just come and have a chat. It doesn't, that the chat won't cost you anything, just your time. Come and have a chat. And if I can support you, I will. And sometimes it's not even me. Maybe I need to refer you.
Yeah. So that's great. And so the last question. So give us some ideas or information about how you can provide lifelong longevity, please.
Oh, lifelong longevity. So I suppose I'm in like halfway. I'm now 55. So I think a lot of it is, I love what Buddha says, keep your heart free, your mind free from worry, your heart free from, hate, live simply so others may simply live. And I think, laugh often, and, I always, when I start to worry too much, I always go, okay, what is that about? Let that go, because it doesn't help, does it? So, about bringing love, bringing laughter, and those, I think, are some of the most amazing things we can do. We can be super fit, but we sometimes, that doesn't help. Let's be balanced. Let's bring in some fitness, some happiness. We can go on walks, but let's also, allow times to enjoy life and to bring in laughter.
All right. So thanks very much, Liz. So if people want to contact you, there it is there, the website, lizwalton.org. And also in Melbourne, is that right? So that's it there. So join Liz at the AustralianFertilitySummit.org. Now, when is that, Liz?
So so we've got the Australian Fertility Summit is the umbrella, and it proudly presents the Melbourne Fertility Expo. And that is happening on the 8th of November, 2005, and it's at Box Hill Town Hall. It's a beautiful old building. So yes, but the main website is Australian Fertility Summit, even though it is presenting the Melbourne Fertility Expo.
All right, thank you. So when was that date again? November?
8th of November.
8th of November 2025. All right. Appreciate it, Liz. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Scott. Lots of love to you.
And to you. And you also get access to my bronze membership with my health club. It teaches you about meditation, teaches you about EFT, emotional freedom technique, teaches you about nutrition, how to lose weight, and how to kick these horrible diseases to the curb. About the 8 chronic diseases. It also, including women's health. And it also teaches you about how to set goals and exercise, and also how to break those barriers in your head. So Thank you very much. So that's worth $11, and you get that access to that for a month. Thanks very much, Liz.
Thank you too. Sending you love, and thanks for all the help that you do as well, Scott. Yay.
Thank you. And also to whoever watched this, you get access to that 1 month free as well. And there it is there. I'll just show you. So there it is. That's the code, free access. Put that in, and then you get access for 1 month. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care, and much appreciated, Liz.
Thank you too, Scott.